good morning, all. Good morning. How are we doing? These guys, it made me chuckle right from the start. Do you know what time it is? uh, in reality, Jennifer, no, no, I don't. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I work from home. Um, Yeah, so just to catch everyone up on why I'm chuckling, if you're catching the audio version of this, which will be out in the next few hours, I'm behind on my schedule. Okay, behind on my schedule. Family matters and other such stuff to attend to. It means I'm doing the stream for today's podcast today. So I'm kind of behind. Adam is incognito, inconspicuous, in bed, probably, as you're as you're as you're listening to this. 4:11 a.m. Wow, fair play, fair play. Hi, trained player. How are you doing? Hope you're all keeping well. So we're firing this out to Twitter as well today, which is a new lovely treat that this service has offered me. But just to address the questions with regard to time, I take very much the same attitude that Prince has in regards to time. There was a discussion on why he celebrates birthdays in the way that he does, in that he doesn't. He asked whoever it was that was interviewing him, how many birthdays have you had? And they obviously like 30, 40, however old they were at the time, and Prince was like, well, I've had one on the day I was born, and I don't celebrate it any other day. And so I don't follow time, and that's why I look this good. But I haven't got Prince level cool to be able to pull that off. I just I don't follow time, because if stuff needs to be done, then it needs to be done. You know, that's really the way I look at it, regardless of whatever the time is, wherever it is, whatever's happening. So yeah, there we go. Today we are looking at some of the follow-up details from this Isaac fella, who is Mr. Depp's friend, I'm given to understand. And from a lot of the comments surrounding this guy, he's a lovely bloke. He's very straightforward. From some of the pictures that I've seen of the fella, very much in this kind of, this kind of instance. I love grumpy old men. I think they're brilliant, because with that invariably comes with it a heart of just pure gold, and an absolutely joyous people to be around. If I could go out for a beer with Mr. Fredrickson from Up, I would absolutely do that, because he seems like such an incredible old man with a lot of wisdom about him. And let's face it, we're all getting there. Not that we're all going to end up old men. You'll end up an older version of whatever you are. So yeah, we're going to have a look at one of the videos from his testifying, from his discussion, from his rant, from this whole trial debacle. And then I'm going to go back in my box about the whole ordeal after we've looked at the man himself, Mr.Depp's, and Amber's when she does it, because this is far too much focus on one particular incident for me. Far too much focus on something I'm not directly involved in, as well. Just happy I could catch this. Isaac is an absolute legend. Yeah, well, I've been honest in the fact that he seems like a real kind of genuine dude from whoever's been writing about him. I've yet to see any video, but I've seen plenty of pictures. I've seen plenty of articles. Trained player, sir, how can I deduce like Sherlock Holmes? You could subscribe to this channel. You could buy my book. You could take courses. You could take lessons. It's not something that I could possibly sum up in only a few mere offhand sentences. suffice it to say, it takes nothing short of devotion. I think that would be fair to say. So, with that in mind, let's get into this whole thing, this whole aspect, this whole video. There he is. Gotta love him. Let's make it a big screen. Let's do it a big screener. The Law and Crime Network. Oh, there he is already.
Back.
Yes.
Were you still living in penthouse 2 of the
too
Eastern?
far. Too far. We've gone too far already. Here he is.
All right. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Your next question?
Mr. Baruch, were
We're
you
back.
still?
Okay.
Thank you for coming back.
Yes.
Were you still living in penthouse?
I like him already. I like him already. He'll have I mean, you look at the nature of friendship. For as long as these guys have been friends, they will share qualities. So within that comment alone, we know that he shares a similar sense of humour to Mr. Depp's. He will share similar affinities for hobbies, for interests, musician, art, whatever it is, that kind of thing.
2 of the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016.
Yes.
Do you recall what you were doing that evening?
Yes.
What were you doing?
I was out. It was evening time. I'm out in the neighborhood, and I'm on my way home. I get a phone call from my friend who wants to know if I want to go out and eat. I said I just ate, but I'm 5 minutes away from.
So this guy isn't a grumpy old man at all. He's just very direct, very no BS kind of attitude. The type of person who would have he would be able to call you a name in a jokey way, and it would be a term of endearment. It's mostly something I hear in the UK. We are fond of this kind of dry sarcasm. You know, the type of person that would be able to sit there and go, "Oh, you dick." When if you examine the words by themselves, it might be considered, you know, an insult, whatever. Not if it came out of his mouth, or people like that, because it's playful. So this guy will be very direct, very open in the information that he chooses to convey. In terms of my understanding so far, right? Granted, we're only a couple of seconds in, and it's by no means biasing how I view it forwards. This is just where I am in here at the moment, right? And you can see the tattoos leaking out. He'd be more of an artist than he would a musician.
The Eastern Columbia building home, and go across the street, get something to eat, and bring it up for takeout, and we'll go upstairs to my joint and we'll eat and yap.
Did you meet your friend back at the Eastern Columbia building?
Yep.
Around what time was that?
9:30.
What happened after you met your friend?
We went upstairs.
Can we pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 116 again, please?
Already? You know, since I did the last video from Christy, if it didn't bring me in money so I could eat food and clothe my kids, I'd turn the adverts off completely. The most frustrating things I've ever encountered. But the observation that I was going to make about Isaac is within the structure of his face. We mentioned the aspect of looking at the base expressions and default expressions when we looked at the skin of Christie. Same thing is here, same thing within me. I do this a lot. For Isaac, his will be up and to the side because there's very little action here. There's remnants of the expressions that are default here, which is signs of focus, which is signs of a heightened emotion of whatever it is that comes along with that. So he'll be a man of passion in that area, a man of passion.
Your Honor, given that this has already been admitted, I'd ask that it be published.
All right, that's fine. You can publish it. You just can't see it. Okay, you still have it?
Mr. Baruch, is it on the screen in front of you?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Baruch, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about what happened after you went upstairs that evening. And it may be helpful for you. There are controls on that screen that you can use to sort of mark the exhibit to show the jury the spots that you're talking about and identifying.
So if you just touch it, it'll make a mark, so you don't have to touch the top, that's fine.
Do I touch
No.
something on menu here?
Nope, you don't, nope, just,
Love it. Love it. I mean, if this didn't confirm 100% that he's an artist before, then this did. Then this did for me, because you've got the heightened focus with the glasses in terms of the bifocals that would be for the position on the face. He'll use it to change focus in depth in this area. The disconnectedness from technology is something that I feel on a cellular level. But what is revealed in the way that he speaks is there's no elevation of status. He's going to be rich to a certain degree if you look at his suit and the company that he keeps and the places that he goes. There's opportunity for people to become too embroiled in that world that they lose touch with its origin, with its creation. And you can hear from the discussions that he's had so far being one word, being more about tonality and communication of the actual response than thinking yourself to be above any kind of position.
just wait, and you can touch it whenever she needs you to mark it.
Just wherever I touch it, it's going to make a mark.
It will.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Baruch, when you got upstairs that evening with your friend around 9:30,
Yeah.
What did you see?
We got out of the elevator, and just like in the graph, you make a left and then you turn the corner. When we walked out, I noticed on the floor there's shards of glass, there's pieces of glass, and so I was just looking, going, oh, something busted. Could be one of the sconces or something like that, and kept walking.
Can you mark on the exhibit where you saw the broken glass that evening?
Yeah. Boom. Right there.
What's interesting as well is the follow-on in terms of his thinking. I saw the glass and didn't immediately assume violence or arguments or throwing of items, or something's broken. Right, that tells you a little bit about his default levels of awareness for where he's going. In that, when you go to a couple's house that argue a lot, right? We all know at least one couple that argue a lot or are very kind of back and forth. It's very easy to tell when you walk in the house if there's been an argument recently, regardless of how friendly or not they are. There is an air of unspoken dialogue in the room that can virtually be felt, so that when you go in, you know this because it's default about the environment. We can abductively reason here that his default awareness of this penthouse suite or penthouse property, by the looks of things, it looks massive. His default level of awareness is for normalcy. He assumes broken items, inconsequential. It fell, it broke, one of the sconces, whatever that is. Not to immediately jump to the other side, which, if the domestic violence properties were as frequent as it is being inferred that they are, it would create a very different environment to walk through.
Right where you could go left or you could go right. And if you wanted to go to the pool area, there's an exit that way. So you could either go right or you go left. You go left, you're in the apartment, going in the hallway through the apartment, or you go right there in that spot.
And did you continue on to your penthouse after you saw the broken glass?
Oh yeah, so we walk around, and then we make the turn. We hang the right past penthouse 5, and we stop right in front of, right here.
And why did you stop right there?
Oh, stopped in front of here, penthouse 1, which is more, it's more.
Look at those finishing touches he does with his behavior as well. Back here, this way. Boom. That's the stepping back, appreciative notion of doing something and coming back to enjoy it. That's built into his maneuvers with this kind of direction. He's not necessarily touching of a screen, but touching of anything. There is the appreciation for whatever he's done there. That's something that he does a lot in his painting work. So we understand about hand dominance. We understand about his flair. In that there is, it is less about extroversion, more about contemplation and appreciation.
Right there, because there's this puddle of wine, huge puddle of wine on the floor that's in front of the door, and there's the splashed wine that's dripping down the wall. And so we stopped, and I'm looking at it and going, look at this. Someone must have got hammered. These guys probably had a party. And at that point, right then, as soon as I said that, the door opens up, and it's
before he's about to say Johnny. That's the way his mouth is set up to make the shape of that word. I mean, I'm digressing. The further acknowledgement of the default settings of the house, the default settings of the property. Which, by the way, a pool in a penthouse. Wow, that's a whole lot of money in that building. The next place to go would be party, right? The next place to go would be drinking, because it's something he's going to be aware of, being friends with Johnny for so long, as opposed to going towards the other side of things, right?
Josh Drew, who pokes his head out the door, only enough for his head to come out, and he's pretty bug-eyed and looks distraught. And I look at him and I go, what's up with the spilt wine? And I'm figuring I'd get an explanation or whatever. And he looked at me and just said, rough day, had a rough day. And at that point, I got concerned and said to him, because I'm friends with him, you know, I got concerned. I said, hey, you okay? You want me to help you with something? Do you need help? He said, no, it's okay. We got it. And I said, okay. And
Now, if that doesn't further exemplify the notion of the way to deal with these outbursts, let's call them, that Christie spoke about during their childhood, that indicates how he would deal with that as opposed to, how he would deal with that in his chosen way as opposed to a more expressive way, physically, shall we say. Then this is further credence towards that kind of observation about the psychological structure that he has with dealing with those kinds of things. Yeah, interesting.
Me and my buddy took off and went into my place.
And what did you do after that?
My buddy ate. I believe he had pizza from across the street, and we talked. We yapped for a while, and could be I could yap, so it could take. We were there probably an hour and change or something like that, and then we're done. So I walked him out and walked down. Went to the elevator, walked out, went to the elevator. We went down.
If we could move off
Stairs.
Johnny
I
now,
walked
please.
him out the
Let's
door,
get back. There we go.
finished
Thank you.
to finish the conversation that we were having, and I said, "All right, see ya." And then I went back in. I went upstairs and I went to bed.
The concern that you would have to be aware of in terms of my two pennies for what would be considered the proper way to read this situation is how much you like someone like this, right? If you look at the work of Cialdini in the notion of influence, the man himself spent, I don't know off the top of my head, close to 30 years trying to understand the psychological properties of what makes us as humans say yes, right? To encourage that kind of influence. And one of the main 6 factors that he found out from the book Influence was liking, right? You will buy more into somebody that you like rather than those that you don't, which is harmful to the information both ways, in that you would disregard information from people that you don't like, more in relation to your feelings towards them rather than the emotions that they make you feel or not, right? So it can have adverse effects. So it's key throughout the whole principle of reading a person, and why I come back to it so much as part of the training properties is mindset. You have to be able to control your responses up here and control that little unhelpful voice that lives inside of your head that says, "Oh, this guy's an absolute dude," or whatever it is, words to that effect. That's just the way I would describe a connectedness towards somebody like this. But it's important to be looking at the information for what it's conveying to you as part of the information, in relation to his nonverbals, and in relation to any signs of creation or duplicity, because you can't be looking for specifics, right? In looking for specifics, you're essentially burying your head in the sand of confirmation bias, right? It is like when somebody has an opinion about something, whatever it is. If you pick any conspiracy theory out of the world, whatever, there's far too many. So you pick one of them out of it, and you start to investigate this idea in your head, and you think, "Oh, okay, I'll try and find more information on it." Your question goes into Google, and you find millions of hits, and you think this gives you credence towards the belief that you have, right? Your first thought should be about disproving it, right? Because that kind of inexorably proves the outcome. The Google search is perceived to have the route towards being able to objectively look at the information that you want to, but you're typing in the confirmation bias that you want more information on. The same is here. The relationship that you have towards that which you are reading, if it's too far into liking or too far into disliking, then that will color the information that you are looking at partially. You need to make sure that you keep that separation between the two areas.
Around what time was that you went back into the Eastern Columbia building?
You know something, is if we got there at like around 9:30, and we're talking, I don't know, an hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours, somewhere around 11 o'clock, I would think.
We can go ahead and take Exhibit 116 down.
Now that's interesting as well. When you look at the way he plays with his beard, right? Now there are many a book that would tell you that is a form of pacifying, that is a form of stopping any growth of anxiety. It's where they go to for comfort markers, and by all means it can be. It can. But if you look at the structure of his facial hair, let's go a little deeper, right? That is brushed and is hot combed. I've no idea if it's a technical name, but that's just something that I have named what they are. A beard straightener, if you want to think of them that way. The little heated, ridged combs that they have that create that kind of uniformity. And once you go through the creation of that, speaking from personal experience as well, and many others that use them, it creates little inversions that can poke and prod at the skin and catch your eye line sticking up. Right, if you've not put any wax or any oil or any kind, whatever kind of products you use, then it can leave 1 or 2 erroneous hairs in your eye line that can make you want to pull it back down, working in line with the fondness for professional presentation that he has. Is going to be more keenly aware of that. So at this stage, we need to be looking at the observation of how he plays with his beard, with a view to understanding if it is more in line with any kind of pacifying or any kind of self-soothing in that area, or if it is simply a default built-in response to controlling style, to controlling the pretty creation that he has attached to his face. And oh joy, we have another advert coming up. Honestly. That Game of 2021 app is getting free
describe for the jury
advertisements.
the events of the next day, May 22nd, 2016?
Yes. It's my birthday. May 22nd is my birthday. I wake up, I end up texting Johnny and saying,
Now again, let's look at the action, right? What we have is full body expression. Full body expression in terms of the movement on the chair, the relaxing of the lower back. He's maintained the engagement in the upper half, in the posture, so he's still turning towards who the question has directed him towards, where the information needs to be communicated. He wants everybody to understand what's happening, so he's telling the jury, he's telling whatever the name of the person is that's asking the questions, and there can be arguments made for how does he know what he did on a specific day 6 years ago, right? How does he know? If you stop and thought about what happened on your birthday for any great length of time, you'd be able to come up with some details. Now, I would induce moving forwards that there is quite the story to tell here. So given that there is a higher degree of engagement with the data stream that was created on his birthday 6 years ago, there is going to be more connection to the information that's there, right? So if you got into a fight on your birthday, just to pluck something out of the air, well, I'll argue it's not too far plucked out of the air. I may have been influenced unknowingly, but whatever. If you got into a fight on your birthday, regardless of whether that was 6 years, 16 years ago, well, if you're 18, it'd be tough to remember something that you did on your second birthday, but this is less a discussion of neuroscience, more a discussion of how memories are built in terms of the consolidation properties. It is possible to retain the information for a huge degree of time when there is that kind of immediate relationship made to the material. If you are telling me that you have no particular memory of why you don't touch hot things, but you know that you don't touch them, it comes from the either overbearing parents that would refuse your inquisitiveness around this kind of thing, or you touched something that was hot, it burned, you made that immediate connection to the source material, and it expanded from there. This is something I've used to great effect in my work as a mentalist. If you're trying to figure out what somebody's birthday is without them actually saying, I would ask somebody the question, thinking of this year, do you remember what day of the week your birthday fell on? Really think about it. right? So if they go and really start to think about it, they're trying to figure it out. So that tells me that whatever it was, it's past already. Now, if it is that they spend a little bit of time thinking about it and then tell you the answer immediately, it's quite close to that area, either coming up or has passed, or if they jump straight to, then it's too far in front for them to have thought about planning, for them to have thought about what they're doing or going to be going to, whether they're working, whatever it is, right? So you can think about these areas when it's connected to something as specific as a birthday.
Hey, I'm gonna be in town, because he's not staying at the Eastern Columbia building. He's staying in a house in town, okay? And so I texted him, it's my birthday. I said, listen, I'm gonna be in town. I'm gonna come by and to have a birthday drink. Okay. I didn't hear from him, I didn't get an answer back, but I said, that's what I'm doing. If that happens, that happens. But
now you look at the notion.
So
I'll pause this again. Now you look at the notion of the way that people illustrate their conversation, right? Now this is a guy that's one hand dominant, obviously, in this area, right? Which may be because he is inhibiting further expressiveness for whatever reason, for respect for the courts, for whatever it is. This notion, that's just a consideration that he may be doing that. But if you look at the way that the body compensates, it is done to lean, it is done to facilitate the expression of character in the disengagement of the lower back, the re-engagement of posture towards the people that you are looking to communicate with, and then this comes off as the natural, relaxed, straightforward, no BS, no airs, no graces, I'm just telling you the story that happened here. So that's why we see the body turn and drop in this way, facilitated by the chair as well, in that it does go back to allow that kind of freedom of movement and that freedom of expression. Also, you can look at this option. Right, this would be a guy that would talk about people that he met by doing this. I was talking to this person a few days ago. What are they doing behind you if you examined these kind of movements? Because it's the revivifying of things that happen, because it falls in with his behavioral lexicon. This is how he illustrates conversation naturally. He talks about texting, or that guy that he spoke to, or I was in this building here and we went round the corner to the right, and these kinds of things. Interesting to note that this would be a default option here. So if we see any changes, we can start to ask ourselves the million-dollar question of why.
Noon time. So I left. I walked out of my apartment, and I go through the hallway, as you see the graph. I go through the hallway, and I turn the corner from Penthouse 3, and as I'm walking down, well, who do I see? I see a group of people. It's a guy in black clothes, a black shirt, black pants, Amber Heard, and I see Josh Drew, who's leaning up against the door, and the door is open. This door is open. Something's going on, and as I'm walking up, I'm saying, hey, what's up? What are you guys doing? And then Amber turns to me as I'm walking up.
You can see his expressions start to change. In the speaking about liking before, this guy does not like her at all. You can see the tension in the lids, the tension in the cheeks, the fact that engagement and expression has started to grow, so it's not inhibited, it's just low level energy at this stage. I was just going down here, and on a birthday I was texting, we'll have a birthday drink, and then people got here. I have this guy, I have Amber, I have and the expression, and we go this way, so there's more engagement here, right? This is why you look at body language, or any word that you want to call it, but you look at it through the properties of thermodynamics, right? Energy has to go somewhere. If he's feeling more, he's either got to do more to inhibit it or let it out. Expression grows.
Amber turns to me and she says, Johnny came by last night. He got violent, so I'm changing the locks on 1, 3, and 5. And I'm look at her, and she goes, "Oh, and don't worry about 2. You're okay." And at this point, I'm now walking past. So now we're all in front of the open door of the apartment, and I see there's 2 guys, 2 locksmiths working on the door. So now I'm standing on one side, and yet
Blink rate hasn't changed either, right? So what we're seeing in that area as the engagement is growing through the body, there is still a high investment in the lots of information that he has to get out here, right? There's no entanglement within his particular feelings on the matter at this stage, other than looking to communicate everything that he saw and everything that happened. He's just looking to tell you the story of his experience.
you have Josh Drew on one side of the door. You got the 2 locksmiths with the door open, working on it. The sun's coming through the door, sunlight from windows, and then Amber is in front of me, and there's the security guy, and that we're 2 feet away from each other, talking. And she introduces me as she's finishing saying, "Oh, don't worry about your apartment." She says, "Oh, and this is a security guard that I got who's going to be hanging around." And I got introduced. She introduced me to him, and I shook his hand. He gave me a card, which I lost, and that.
We've all been there. We've all been there. Oh, keep hold of this. Oh, it's vanished into the ether. We've all done it.
And I'm kind of taking this in and going, and I said, "Wait, what happened? What's going on?" And
now, if you listen to the way he's changed his speech patterns there, the filler has happened a lot of the time. Wait, whoa, wait, what has happened? Disbelief. We're seeing that the has become violent. Was like 2 + 2 is the Batman symbol. What? That doesn't work. That's not in keeping with the reality that he knows. Completely. That's changed his speech. That's changed the response to the person in question. That's changed the actions of his arms. That's changed the engagement of his lower back. When everything is in that kind of uniform display, easy to see where he is at that particular time. That notion of the person in question being violent is completely ridiculous to him.
And at that point, Josh Drew looks at me and gives me the high sign to like, "Hey, follow me. I'll tell you in private." And
Mr. Rich, when you were
Here is breathing there, the tension, and the lid he's trying to place on the growth of those emotions, sadness, pain. It's about to start, and that's why he tapered off at the end.
speaking with Ms. Hurd, how close were you standing to her?
like I said, I'm 2 feet, a 1.5 feet, 2 feet away. We're all 2 feet.
And how was the
Back to
lighting
Isaac,
in
please.
that area?
Back to Isaac.
There's lights in the hallway, but we're standing in.
This is one of the things I'm starting to not like about this view, in that it's more of a TV show.
Sunlight's coming through.
It should be on the person that's talking throughout.
Did you notice any marks on her face when you were speaking with her?
No,
Did you see any bruises?
no,
Did you see any redness?
no.
Blow blinks. Your blocking behaviour coming in. No. Right now, it would be an assumption for those who are fans of the books to go blocking behavior, negativity, duplicity, lies, all of this kind of thing, right? Think about the connection to the material. His connection to the information that's being discussed is through her and his friend and this discussion. So that's going to bring about that kind of negative explosion there, right? In that he can't believe it. What do you do when something ridiculous happened at work? You went, these kinds of, don't know why it happened, right? It's not because you're lying about that story, which is why the whole phenomena of reading people. I mean, I've ranted about this many times. Why these types of videos can have the potential to do more harm than good if you don't provide a complete breakdown of the capacity for where observations can go and what you should do with them. But there's been no change in his verbal tonality, no change in his directness, no incongruence on a physical level, only highlighting lower lid tension, the tension in the lips and the jaws towards the negativity he feels about the information that's being discussed. Saw nothing in his head, as we English folks would say, complete bollocks.
Did you notice any swelling?
No.
Did it look like Ms. Heard was wearing any makeup?
No.
Had you seen her wearing makeup before?
Yeah.
And you had seen her not wearing makeup before?
Yeah. I seen, like I said, with the face mask, doing a face mask, no makeup, hanging around, waking up in the morning, no with makeup, glammed out to go out. And it's 3.5 years of seeing her in different forms.
Isaac saying, calm down, lady, get back in your box, I can tell the difference.
Did you speak with Mr. Drew about anything at that point?
Well, yeah, after I said that, hey, what's going on? And he gave me the high sign to like, hey, follow him. We went into my apartment and had a conversation.
And what happened after you had that conversation with Mr. Drew?
We left the apartment and we go walking back.
Directed, illustrated, accented with the
back,
eyes.
I say to Amber as I'm walking up, he hit you? And she goes, yeah, he threw a phone at me and hit me. And I'm looking, because I had just seen her 2 feet away, and I'm going, where? And she puts her head out. She puts her face out like that for me to look at her, the right side of her face. And I'm looking, but at that point also, I'm looking, and I turn around, get on the other side. We're in the doorway. So I'm on this side with the light shining this way from the doorway with the lights above, but the sunshine. And she's got her face out like this, looking, to show me. And I'm looking, and I inspect the face.
Every single element of that story couldn't be any truer if he tried. Couldn't be any truer, right? Before we get into the, I saw this or I didn't see this element, right? There's the revivification of scene setting. There is the explanation of the sunlight in relation to why this was pushed forward, in relation to his positional observation that he could get based on the change in position, that he reflected in where the chair went, that he reflected in his body language, that he reflected in the illustration that he was using with his hands of going down this way and round. We had the lights coming in, it was down this way, right? The explanation is authentic at this particular moment, right? There is no incongruence physically, no incongruence verbally. It's all fit in with everything that's being that we've seen so far, right? There has been no change. There has been no wavering or discomfort or anxiety growth or anything that could be connected with the notion of creation, right? If you're trying to mathematically figure out people, then you're going to fail. You're going to fail, because that would imply that the aspect of reading people is a hard science. You could apply an equation to everyone, and it would come out the same way each and every time, which is completely untrue. It's completely untrue. When you look at the notion of human behavior, it changes almost instantaneously based on the most seemingly inconsequential aspect. There has been none of that for him. It's been completely across the board throughout.
I'm looking at a forehead. I'm looking at the side of her eye. I'm looking at a cheek. I'm looking at her chin. I'm looking at the other side of the face. I'm looking at the whole thing. And I don't see anything. I don't see anything I don't see a cut, a bruise, swelling, redness. It's just Amber's face that she's going like this and showing me. So I'm not seeing anything. I back up and I'm making a joke. I make a joke going, well, I don't see anything, but maybe all the beauty from one side of your face to the other side of the face is outshining everything.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I gave away £1 million to a lot of people I've never met.
Good for you, Chris. Aren't you a
So I can't
delightful
see
person?
anything. And she's laughed and she's, smiled. And I just looked at everybody and said, hey, it sounds nuts. And I went and I said, I gotta go. And I gave her a hug and kissed her on that side of the face. Kissed her on that side of the face. And then I left. Said goodbye.
Now that's either part of his normal way of leaving, or really smart. I mean, I like that as a way of confirming in his mind, in his mind, what happened and the lie that he was just told. Right? If you play through the action of whether it was the first time it happened or whether it was the 101st time that it happened, for the cavalier communication to go on in terms of kissing of a cheek and a hug in that area nonchalantly, that is either signs of huge emotional trauma in her, or a complete disconnectedness to the story that she's telling, right? And in order for us to figure out which that is, we would need to go over everything that's being shown from her, through her, about her so far, right? What further evidence has been presented for that kind of emotional damage that would lead to burying and this hermital response towards acts of violence? Nothing. What holds more water? I think we all know.
What was her reaction when you kissed her on that side of the face?
Nothing.
Did she flinch?
No.
Did you see Ms. Heard again the next day?
Yeah.
When was that?
So that's Monday. That was May 22nd, my birthday. So then the next day is Monday, the 23rd. I had woken up with a chest cold, and I heard a knock on the door, and it's Amber. So I opened up the door.
Around what time was that?
That's, I want to say, maybe around noontime, maybe a little bit before. Maybe it could have been a little bit, I think around noontime again. And I went downstairs and I opened up the door.
And when you opened the door, did you have a good view of Ms. Heard?
Absolutely, yeah.
How was the lighting?
Lighting's fine. Lighting from outside, and there's light from my place, yeah, so the lighting was great.
Did you see any marks on Ms. Heard's face?
I like the expectant responses to the lighting was fine. What else you got? What other aspects do you have to try and legitimize these fables?
At that time?
No, same thing like the day before. There's no redness, there's no swelling, there's no bruises, there's no cuts, there's no nothing. Just Amber, looking like Amber.
Did you notice if she was wearing any makeup at that point?
She didn't look like she was wearing makeup then either.
What did Ms. Heard say to you during that encounter?
She was knocking on my door to see if I would take the house key, her house key, to let the...
So what we've got at this stage is a lot of non-verbal understanding of how he communicates, right? Of where he goes during heightened emotional connection towards the information that he's talking about, in terms of the reasoning of why he illustrates with one hand over two, of the specifics of the eyebrow raise, of his tonality, of his almost slang versions of responses towards no. Yeah, as opposed to as yes, no, these wouldn't fit in with his speech patterns because it would be a mask. It wouldn't be Isaac being Isaac in that way, right? So let's skip that on a little bit just to see where we start to get the changes when he's. Oh, there we go. That was kind of expressive. Let's go from there. 33 minutes in. So we've just jumped 15 minutes in the timeline.
Amber and Whitney waiting at the elevator, mezzanine level, coming from the garage, obviously, and waiting for the elevator. And Whitney does this to Amber, pow, and hits her, like faking hitting her in the face, going pow, and then they start laughing.
Did Ms. Heard react at all in that video to the fake punch that you observed Whitney throw?
Yeah, she's laughing. After doing it, they both, laughing at with each other.
Mr. Baruch, do you know who Elon Musk is?
Sure.
Have you ever seen Mr. Musk in person?
Yeah.
Where did you see him in person?
First time was
So that was too heightened to be connected towards rearrangement of style, but we've got a change in the way it was done. So the first one was this, the last one was pressing that we saw, right? So we can understand difference there. So we need to explore both of these simultaneously moving forward. So we have a possibility for change that is more connected towards self-soothing than the other could be perceived as. So we have to explore further presentations to know whether these signs are connected towards what we think they are, right? The great thing about acknowledging them in this way is once we have done so, and we get to that point later on, if it's confirmed, we can then backtrack over all the points that we've made as a mental footnote in what was being discussed when he did this, so we can immediately have access to all of that information that went by just because we were engaged properly.
I'm getting into the elevator on the rooftop, penthouse level. I'm going into the elevator, and he's coming out of the elevator, going past me.
And when did that take place?
This is after May. This is sometime June, it could be July, but after May.
In that same year, 2016?
Yeah.
And when was the second time that you saw Mr. Musk?
One morning waking up and going and opening up the shades to the bedroom, and it's on the second floor, and it overlooks the balconies, our adjoining balconies, because my balcony joins with John and Amber's balcony, and that opening up the shades, I see Elon Musk going through the balcony door on their side to then walk down a common corridor that then at the end leads to a door that you walk out to the rest of the rooftop, and you go to the pool, you go to the gym and stuff. So
pool and a gym. Wow, that place is huge.
I'm looking out, and the view out the window is of both of our balconies. So that's where I saw him.
And when was that?
Oh, sometimes it's either June, July.
So we got a lot of this going on, which, given the change in storyline, would be more associated towards the strength of feelings he has regarding the obvious that they're trying to get at, that she was unfaithful, right? That she was unfaithful. Now, if you look at the only people that have spoke out in support of her that I know of, there may have been a few more, but the only ones that I know of was Musk and Franco, who are both connected towards infidelities that she's had. Now, you don't have to be interested in in anything psychologically related to understand that it is possible to have a high degree of influence over somebody if you are using sex as a weapon.
But it's after May.
Mr. Baruch, how long have you known Mr. Depp?
Met him, I believe, in 1980, and what's 42 years? Well, it's going to be 42 years.
Have you ever seen Mr. Depp be violent when angry with Ms. Heard?
Objection leading.
I'll allow the question, okay?
Yeah. How is that leading? Have you ever seen it? A question like that doesn't invite a yes or no response. It invites you to answer the question. You could make the argument that he would be influenced based on his friendship, and it's leading the jury, but it's certainly not leading Isaac in this way, which you could then abductively reason where her roster is in terms of trying to not allow somebody to present anything kind of contradictory towards the allegations that she's made.
The question again?
Have you ever seen Mr. Depp be violent when angry with Ms. Heard?
No. Well, from what I said from before, there was an argument that I walked in, so there's that, but have I ever seen him be violent to her with physicality? No.
Did you ever see him hit her?
Never.
In your 3.5 years living at the Eastern Columbia building next to Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, did you ever observe any injuries or marks on Ms. Heard?
Oh, for the love of God.
Objection leading, Your Honor.
All right, I'll sustain as to leading.
Did you ever notice anything unusual about Ms. Heard when you were living at the Eastern Columbia building with her?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
Honestly.
I can answer?
Yes, sir.
What's the question again?
Did you?
So the again, my opinion, but what do I know of legal proceedings? The unnecessary objections for the sake of just trying to protect their own fallacy at this stage has caused him to lose track of where he is. But look at the respect that he has for the proceedings. I can answer, right? Not giving anything away or forcing his way into giving, information that obviously would be stricken from records, but if it's said, it would still be remembered. So not using that opportunity, waiting for his turn to speak. There's a lot of respect for the vehicle that he's part of in the whole trial. A lot of respect for the proceedings. He's if we were to continue the reasoning backwards as far as we possibly can, he would be one of the voices that matches the whole, don't worry about it, the truth will come out. Let it all play out as it will, and the truth will come out.
Do you ever notice anything unusual about Ms. Heard during the time that you were living next door to her at the Eastern Columbia building?
Besides having great teeth? No.
Mr. Baruch, are you appreciative of everything that Mr. Depp has done for you?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading and relevant.
All right, I'll sustain as to leading. All right.
Mr. Baruch, how do you feel about what Mr. Depp has done for you?
Objection. Well, you know what? No, I'll go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I think that's withdrawn. Go ahead. You can answer the question.
Oh.
Could just answer the question, sir.
And the question is,
How do you feel about everything that Mr. Depp has done for you?
oh, come on, it's unreal. It's, you think too much about it, you're gonna cry. That I appreciate everything that he's done for me. It's like stuff you can't pay back.
Again, the connection to the verbal responsive when overwhelmed, right, with either a disbelief or a certitude around a particular response, like the notion of him being violent. What? How do you say thank you for somebody that's done so much? I don't know. We've got a congruence there, a backup.
Would you lie for him under oath?
Oh, no.
Leading.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Look at that as well. No. Ugh, that was as close to offensive as you could get for somebody like that.
Have you given truthful testimony today, sir?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
It's still leading. I'll sustain the objection.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right. Cross-examination.
Start with the makeup. Now, you know that Ms. Heard was...
Excuse me. I
I'm sorry?
didn't hear the beginning of what you started saying.
I said, let's start with the makeup.
Okay.
Okay. You're aware that Ms. Heard has both modeled and been an actor and had been for many years before you met her, correct?
I knew she acted. I didn't know she was a model.
Okay. Were you aware that she had a commercial agreement with L'Oreal, for example?
When, now or back then?
What's your knowledge?
Isaac's in control here. Isaac's in control. He's already aware of what they're going to be driving at based on the questions. So he's actively pulling apart the details because he knows that they've contacted the leg warehouse, and as it turns out, they don't have anything to stand on.
I don't know any of that.
Okay. Have you ever been with Ms. Heard when she has put makeup on?
I've been in the room, yeah, when makeup was getting put on her, yeah.
When makeup was being put on her, was this for some acting role or something like that?
It was an event that they were going to.
So that was somebody else applying makeup to Ms.
Yeah.
Heard, who was going to have some gala event that she was going to.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been with Ms. Heard in her bathroom or anything when she's applying her makeup in the morning?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar with...
But again, same response in terms of congruency. No. No. We get a connection to the strength of the no with the additional eyes and the response filtered through the full body.
With Amica cream?
What is it?
Amica?
Amica?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Do you know what type of foundation Ms. Heard uses?
No.
Do you know what type of concealer Ms. Heard uses?
Words. They certainly conceal a great deal of things.
No.
Do you know what type of tint Ms. Heard uses?
I have no clue.
Do you know what types of powders Ms. Heard uses?
No.
So when you're saying that you didn't notice any makeup, would it be fair to say that you yourself are not familiar with what type of makeup Amber Heard uses on a daily basis?
I don't know what she uses on a daily basis.
That's my point. Now, the first time that you saw her, which was May 22nd.
Yeah.
Ms.
Now look at the control here, so that we can tell from the clothes that the hands have gone together slightly on the arms. So he's in quite a negative state in terms of his connection towards her. The questions that are being asked of it, in terms of this is just ridiculous, right? Words going round his head at this stage will be things like, just because I don't know specifically what foundation or concealer that she puts on, that means I can't recognize when she doesn't have any on. That'd be silly.
Ms. Heard was there. Were you aware she was on her way to somebody else's birthday party? Not yours, but somebody else's that day.
No.
Okay. Can you tell me what her hairstyle was that day?
It's just down.
Down as in?
Just regular. How she has it up now. She's got some kind of hairstyle, but no, she was no hair down, regular, no makeup, just hanging.
Well, when you say no makeup, you don't know she was not wearing makeup, correct?
For a fact?
Correct.
No.
And you don't know whether she had applied Amica cream, correct?
This is a very thin argument, right? I'm trying to pick apart the smallest detail to wiggle in with. That's very thin. Doable, because you can't refute things like that. But it's very thin.
No.
And
I didn't even know what Amica cream is.
And you don't know whether she had applied concealer or foundation or powder or tint, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, if she's going out to a party,
Yeah.
do you think she would want to have her bruise exposed?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Calls for speculation.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay.
Next question.
So,
Oh dear.
do you recall what Ms. Heard was
Come on,
wearing?
back to Isaac.
that day?
You know something? I could have sworn she had on a schmata dress, hippie dress at that particular time, but I could be confusing it with June 3rd. She's got this
My birthday.
Victorian type of long hippie dress that has embroidery, and she definitely was wearing that night.
All right, but let's go back to May 22nd. Do you
Yeah.
recall what she was wearing?
Now again, look at the position of where he is in terms of the information, trying to get as far out of their ahead of their questions as he possibly can, admitting that he might have got these two dresses confused from these two different days, to indicate that level of potential vulnerability around your information or the legitimacy of what you're trying to communicate, is so the opposite of anybody being remotely deceitful. This guy's down the line the whole stretch.
Wearing?
I could have swore she was wearing another schmata dress that I've seen her hanging around the apartment with.
And do you recall what color?
No.
Okay. Do you recall what jewelry
You need some training with me, Isaac? I'll sort you out.
Ms.
No.
Heard was wearing that day? No. Okay. Now, you indicated that there was a security guard there, and there
Yes.
was Josh Drew,
Yeah.
correct? And was there anyone else there?
Yeah, the two locksmiths.
Okay. So
And also in the apartment, for a fleeting second, a person went walking by and who seemed to me looked like it was Raquel Pennington, but it could have been another friend that was supposedly staying with them.
Okay, so you saw somebody come by. So how many?
No, go through the living room, and then they're out of the picture because they went upstairs. So that's somebody that else was in that room but walking by.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and
Huge degree of detail, huge degree of information, huge degree of recollection, forward about what he can remember, forward about what he can't. Still maintaining this kind of dueling emblem towards the position of his hands and his shoulder. You see how the posture dropped from the normal comfort towards the, I'm going to have to listen to your nonsense here, trying to push the ear forwards as well. The tension in the jaws, the tension in the cheeks, the tension in the lids. Yeah, huge degree of the beginnings of frustration towards this woman and her questioning.
You talked to Josh. What did Josh tell you? Josh
When?
Drew, he took you to the side. What did he tell you?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
All right. I'll sustain the objection to hearsay.
All right. Before you spoke with Josh Drew in the other
See
room,
the hands still doing this now?
what, if anything,
see
had
in the
been
wrists.
said about
The forearms, excuse me.
Mr. Depp did the night before?
Objection to the extent it calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
Right, I'm gonna
Be a hearsay.
skip on again a little bit further because all of these objections are annoying. So we're currently at 44 minutes. I'm going to skip to an hour and 10.
Witness any physical violence.
But you have seen
Let's go back a bit.
Thomas, rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about. Then maybe it's time for him to take responsibility, don't you think?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Speculation, lack of foundation, relevance.
Speculations.
He just went off on this rant and rave about assuming that she's.
You asked questions.
I didn't.
Okay, there was a rant and rave. Let's do it.
I'm going to sustain.
A nice friend.
Yeah, okay. And I think you testified already, you're pretty angry with Ms. Heard, right?
When?
I wrote it down that you
Oh,
were.
about the phony pictures that were taken and put in tabloids, and about the fake narrative, and about and the way she's trying to got a fraudulent DV claim to extort and blackmail a man. Yeah, that kind of got me
Pretty angry with it.
frustrated, confused, angry, upset. Yes, which is why I said the best thing for us to do is not to talk to each other.
Okay.
Yes.
And was it fair to say you're still angry with her?
Oh, you know something? It's 6 years.
But
It's
we just heard you
6
give your
years.
version.
Am I angry anymore? I'm not, what I am is tired, and I want this all to end. Her to go heal, him to go heal. So many people have been affected by this malicious lie that she started and she created.
Get it all there again the whole time, right? We've got this point that we can marker the strength of his nonverbals in the double-handed movements, in the change in position, the change in activity of the lower back, the change in position of the arms in front of the body to outward, and the slow eye blocks. Tired is going to be the best way to sum it all up for him.
And it's gone out the door and around the world, and so I can't even paint anymore. I've stopped painting for the last who knows how many years, and that's affected by stuff. I'm not angry at anybody. I want the best for her to take her responsibility, heal, and move on. And for Johnny,
Same connection again. The strength of what's coming forward. Still wants it. I want the best for you. Heal. Go sort it. Your lie was terrible. Let's move on. You heal. You do you. Double-handed movements. Engagement of the lower back. It's all there.
His family has been completely wrecked by all of this stuff, and it's not.
We heard it coming earlier. We heard it coming earlier in his breathing.
Not fair. It's not right what she did and what happened for so many people to get affected from this. It's insane.
And Mr. Baruch?
How this happened.
And Mr. Baruch, if in fact she's telling the truth, and if in fact Mr. Depp, who has engaged in enormous rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about, then maybe it's time for him to take responsibility, don't you think?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Speculation, lack of foundation, relevance.
Speculations.
He just went off on this rant and rave about assuming that she's...
You asked questions.
I didn't ask a question that launched that.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay,
All right, next
you don't...
question.
I'll ask this.
Okay.
Mr. Baruch, you
That is legal speak for he said that. I want to say my piece. That's what that was.
don't know whether Mr. Depp has committed domestic violence of Amber Heard, do you?
I never witnessed. I never saw or witnessed whatever type of claim that is being said.
He did well to hold off her question, inviting him to say no.
Ever. I've
Okay.
never seen him be violent since teenagers from first meeting.
I didn't ask you that. I said you don't know whether he has committed domestic violence or abuse on Amber Heard. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. I did
Okay.
not witness any physical
Right.
violence.
But you have seen Mr. Depp use drugs as well as drink and be drunk, correct?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now,
I've
how,
partaken.
I'm going to ask you to take a look. Let's pick up Depp exhibit number 116 again. It's already in. If we can have that published to the jury.
Ms. Burdock, how much more do you think you have?
I think I can finish it up if you give
Okay,
me
sure,
5 or 10 more
no,
minutes.
that's well.
Maybe less.
Okay, all right. I'll
Thank
hold
you.
you to that. Okay.
Ugh. Slow roll of the eye block tension release in the breathing as well. It's almost over. He doesn't know how much more of her shtick he can take.
So, Mr. Bruce, I just want to make sure that I understand. This is the penthouse thing, and you
Ms.
said...
Burdock, if you could go to the microphone, it's just so hard to hear
Yeah,
you.
I just realized that.
Thank you.
Thank
I appreciate it.
So, on this diagram, when you got out of the... You said 9:30 today, but in fact, it was between 9:30 and 10 that you came back with your friend, correct?
No, it was
Negligible.
around 9:30. Could be 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes the other way. Could have been.
Do you recall saying it was between 9 and 9, or between 9:30 and 10 earlier?
Today?
No.
Did I said that?
Do you recall? Are you sure it was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes?
This woman is terrible. She's terrible because she's just contradicted her own point. She just said earlier, he said 9:30. You said 9:30 when it was actually 9:30 till 10. And then she just said, do you remember earlier saying when it was 9:30 till 10? Which side are you on, love? Let's think it through.
Minutes, or could it have been between 9:30 and 10?
It was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes either way.
And you saw a broken sconce.
No,
Correct.
I did not see a broken sconce.
What did you see?
I saw a broken glass on the floor, shards of glass, pieces
it was
of
a
glass, which I figured could have been a broken sconce, or possibly maybe something from the fire department stuff that's around the walls. So it could be something broken from that. But I really, maybe one.
Let's
of
go
the
for the
sconces
closing
broke.
minutes.
I didn't see it. I moved out the next month, so in November. So this is from October.
So was that message sent several months after Ms. Heard made claims against Mr. Depp of domestic violence?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
Yes, of course. This is after this whole fiasco that she started.
And if we look at line 61,
What am I looking?
what's the date on that message?
It's 10/28, October.
Yeah.
We can take that down.
So there we go, right? We have here a person that has shown no signs of any kind of creation, no signs of any storyline being told. We've got the markers for his authenticity. We've got the markers for his change in level of engagement. We've got his markers for where his negativity lies, where his tension lies over his feelings towards her specifically regarding which action in terms of the allegations of infidelity towards the creation of the storyline that she came up with, and how and why he changes in response to this. Right, so let's just come back and have a look at some of your comments here, just in terms of what you've said. What books are, when I mentioned earlier about the monographs, that's my book. Yeah, name calling is a term of endearment. Absolutely, I know it well. He's Jewish as well. Directness tends to be genetic. Okay. This guy is great. Yeah, he is. He's very expressive as well. People advertising best followers. Stop commenting that kind of stuff. Yay, Ben is in the house. I am in the house. I started doing shots every time I caught AH smirking during the statements. It got very poorly. It's leave it to the English to discover a drinking game here. Really hope I get to the cross exam as well. Really interesting. Duly noted. Yeah, when I renovated my flat, the workers immediately noticed the day I put makeup on. Right, you know, it's just nonsense cross-examination from nonsense people. But again, my opinion. What do I know of legal proceedings? Right, bring it on. Comment section. I'll take you. Bring it on. So yeah, with that in mind, guys, that draws to the conclusion this look at Isaac. In terms of his testimony of whatever went on. I think we all know what didn't go on at this stage. It's just a matter of proving it. I'm having echoes of a Jamie Foxx line from Law Abiding Citizen. You know, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court, which it shouldn't be. But you know, maybe that's a case of life imitating art. Hopefully not with whatever else happens after. I can't imagine Isaac going full Gerard Butler with the von Clausewitz stuff. So yeah, the audio version of this will be out in a couple of hours, and I'm gonna take the stream down and prettify it and pop it back up so it will be fully viewable a little bit later on today as well. But thank you for your interest, thank you for your comments, thank you for your information regarding this stuff as well, and stay tuned for a little bit more. Talk to you soon.